Hello everyone and welcome back to Project 1.8 Conversion. So if you're watching this video on day of release, it is actually Christmas Day, so I wanted to make a little bit of a different intro. I'm actually filming this whilst editing the video, and I thought the intro that I recorded before just wasn't quite in as good spirits as what I would like it. So I want to start off by just saying Merry Christmas to all of you. If you're watching this on Christmas Day, I hope you've had a great day so far. I hope you had a lovely Christmas with your friends or family or wherever you're spending it, and I hope you got all the presents that you wanted. So in today's episode, we're going to be taking out the subframe. We're also going to be taking out the rest of the electrics, being the fuse box and the rest of the wiring that runs around the firewall. That's all going to be coming out today. We also remove the ABS pump and make sure that there's nothing else that we need to take off before we start putting things back together. Again, I want to wish you Merry Christmas. Hope you had a great day. Enjoy the video. Okay, so this is the stage that we're at. I believe that we've got everything disconnected. All the suspension and stuff is all disconnected, as you can see. Doesn't look like there's anything holding it there. Same as the other side. And I've also taken the nut off the steering rack that connects it to the column. So I think the only thing holding this thing in now is the subframe bolts. And there's 4 E18s, one there, one the other side. And then there's 2 at the back as well, there. Same this side. So I think once I release those 4 bolts, the subframe should all come down, so that's the next thing to do. Okay, so I've been trying to drop this subframe down for the past couple of minutes, sort of wrestling with it, pulling it backwards and forwards. And the issue I'm having is the exhaust is in the way. This kind of needs to be off really, but I figure if I can take the rubbers off down there underneath the car and just drop the exhaust down a bit, that might give me enough room, because this needs to come out of there where the steering rack goes in, but the exhaust won't go any lower than where it is right now. It's like solid. So if I take the exhaust mounts off, that should fall down. That should give me enough clearance to get this out then. I've just stuck a couple of bolts in the front just to stop the whole thing sort of wobbling about and falling down while I'm under the car. So I'm going to take the rubbers off and hopefully I'll get enough clearance to be able to get this subframe out. Okay, so as you can see, the exhaust is dropped way down now. It's pretty much on the floor. I did use a jack to just jack the back of the subframe up because I was having an issue with it sitting on the exhaust and it was causing me a real headache trying to get those exhaust hangers off. So I just jacked it up with my jack, so that's now supporting that. So now I'm just going to take these 2 bolts out, 2 front ones that I put back in, drop it down again, and hopefully we can get this thing out. Okay, so this is the situation. Subframe clear, engine clear, subframe's on a pallet over there. Next thing, before we can start putting things back together, is to give all this a clean. Now, for a Corsa, this car, rust-wise, is actually extremely good. This actually looks like it's been quite well looked after, so we ain't got to really deal with any rust or painting, but I do want to give it a good clean. I want to degrease the whole lot, get all this sort of stuff that builds up on here off for all. And then we also actually have a couple of things left to do mechanically. The ABS pump needs to come out, which is in here. This fuse box needs to come out. The wiring that goes to the BCM module unit needs to come out, and the wiring that goes all the way along under this scuttle panel also needs to come out. So we've still got work to do when it comes to taking things apart, and I don't want to be putting anything back in until I've got everything out that I need to get out. So that's the next plan. I'm going to pull this out, take all the plastics back off this, take the wiring out, and then I'll probably call that it for today, and I'll carry on and degrease all this tomorrow. Yeah, I'm just having a quick tea break, and I'm going to have a quick tidy up as well. You can see all my stuff on my cart. I can't find a single thing, so I need to have a quick tidy up, have a tea, refresh my mind, and then I'm going to get cracking when we've taken the fuse box out. It's not too cold today. This sort of weather I can work in this. It's not too bad. So you can now see a bit clearer the reason for taking all this stuff off was this wiring harness that you see coming from the fuse box, this right smaller one, goes past this box here, and then as you can see it runs, let me just get a light, it runs all the way along the back of the firewall. So it's all the way behind the brake servo, and then it goes into the car through a grommet right there. So I'm going to have to find out where that plugs into, and there's also a ground there. So just unplug everything and then pull that whole wiring harness off. And then we can open this box up, take that out, and then we should be able to remove this all as one sort of harness. Just thought I'd add, in case you were wondering, the wiring harness, when it goes through that grommet down there, that is actually the plug for the indicator. So if you pull that out, unplug it, you should be able to pull the wiring through. So the wiring harness that runs across is now sitting in the engine bay like so. So that's all that done. Now to get to the next bit down here, I'm actually going to need to take the lid off this box. You can see there's a couple of things down there, but it just so happens that I need to get in this box anyway because I need to take the harness out of there as well. Now usually it's held on by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 torque screws. I think they're T20s. You can see them sort of dotted around, one there, one down there. There should be one right there, but there isn't. 2 at the front here, and then there's 2 down the side. You can tell someone's been in here before because there's a Phillips screw on this one, and there's also a Phillips screw on that one right down there. That's really rusty, so I'm going to take these screws off. This lid is probably glued on with silicone because if someone's been in here before, they've probably sealed it up. So I'm going to pull this off, and then we can take the harness out of there, and we should be able to then just lift this whole harness out as one. Now, as I suspected, this lid is pretty well on there, so I'm going to use a pry bar and just see if I can pry up on the lid. That wasn't too bad actually. There we go. Well, someone has definitely been in here. You can see all around that seal. So it looks like grease. Someone literally has just put grease on it. That's not even silicone sealant, that is straight grease. Look, I can wipe it off. Wow, that was a good attempt, but I'll be sealing that up properly when I come to put it all back together. So this whole sort of module is what I'm after, this whole sort of relay box, fuse box thing. I need to unplug these 2 purple connectors at the back because I think they go into the car, so I don't need these 2. So just push them down, unplug them, pull them up. Ouch. There's one. So there's one thing I've forgotten. This wire here seems to be attached still, and I believe that is the one for the ABS on this side, so I'm going to have to take that off as well. Okay, I managed to get the ABS wire off, so this should be it now. This should all just lift off. With any luck. I might need 2 hands for this. Right, there we go. That is the wiring. Fuse box, BCM box / relay box thing, and then all the wiring as well, engine loom and all that stuff. Thank God that's out, that was a nightmare. Okay, so except for this ABS pump here, that is absolutely everything removed that I need to remove, I believe. I think that is it. So, before I end this video, I want to get this ABS pump off. And then in the next video, it'll be prep time to get the new stuff in. So I'm going to clean up all of this area, give it a good old deep clean, degrease, get as much dirt off as I can. And then we can go ahead and install our wiring like we just took off. So the new fuse box, new wiring that'll go around the other side. I'm going to get the new engine off the pallet, just over there. And then I'm going to take the subframe, and the subframe will be the first thing to go in. So I'll put the subframe in. And essentially what I'm going to be doing is exactly the same as when I took it off. I'll put the subframe up, all the running gear and stuff, and then the engine will go in, and then I'll wire it up. So this is the last thing I just want to do quickly before we end. It's starting to get dark, it's starting to rain, so if I can get this just off, I'll be happy with today's progress. So it looks like we've got a couple of nuts actually holding the ABS pump in place, these 2 10mm. and then we've got all the lines on the back, so 1, 2, 3, 4 down there, and 2 on top. So I'm going to get a brake pipe spanner. These look like about 11mm, could be wrong. And then I'll take these 6 off, and then we should be able to pull this thing out. So these are the spanners that I've got. These are from Yato, it's the brand, and these are on 11mm. A lot of brake caliper bleeders and stuff are 11mm, so I'm going to crack all these loose. If you don't own a set of brake spanners, extremely handy. As you can see, they go around the pipe, and then you've got sort of 5 of the 6 sides covered. I'm just going to crack these loose, hopefully. Okay, I've got them all cracked loose, so I'm just going to use a normal spanner now and just spin them all out. So I've unhooked all the lines from the ABS pump, and I've also taken the 2 nuts off the top, but I can't quite tell how it comes out. I know that this has obviously got to come up here, but there's also, I don't know how it's going to come up because it's got sort of rubber mounts here, so maybe I have to pry it up. I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen here. Okay, so after a little bit of wrestling, I've managed to get it out. There we go. If you're doing this yourself, I think the best advice I can give you is push it towards the car by the top, this bit here, and then get a screwdriver underneath it, so in this little gap, and sort of pry up and push at the same time. It's kind of difficult, and I didn't get it really on camera, but it's out. That's good. Okay, so that's about going to wrap it up for today. Again, we had quite a productive day. We've got the subframe out, managed to get all the electrics out from below the windshield, all the fuse box and everything like that. Look a lot more stripped down now. It's moving along nicely. Like I said, in the next video is sort of prep for getting things put back together, so I want to clean some stuff up and just sort of get it ready for the rest to go back in. And then it's time for assembly. So I just want to add at the end of this video, if you don't follow me on Instagram already, my Instagram is The Savage Garage. I'll show you it here so you can see it. And there's a picture of my car there. I've had that for a while. But what's cool is I do a lot of updates on there, so as you can see, I've already put pictures, as I'm filming this, of things that I've just been doing. So if you want to get sort of insight into what's going on the day, instead of having to wait for the videos, sort of, could be a week later, make sure you follow me on there. And if you want to contact me as well, it's a good way of sort of contacting me through direct message on there. So as you can tell, I'm also filming the outro right now whilst editing. So for some reason I either didn't film an outro or I did film an outro, but the camera wasn't rolling as I was filming it. So this is the outro right here. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you're looking forward to the next one. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe because we are so close to hitting the 10,000 mark if we haven't already by this point. Hope you guys had a Merry Christmas, and I'll see you in the next video.
I don't know.